Good morning, friends. This is Jaya for the session of digitalization. Today, we are going to talk about what is digitalization, what is its importance in today's business model, and with the scenario and interesting case study. So, first slide, which comprises of the scenario. So, in this scenario, we see there are two friends who are traveling in the same business, that is the tours and travels, where Bob is earning less and David is earning more. In this situation, why Bob is earning less, the reason behind he is using the traditional way of doing the work, whereas David is using the digitalization method. In this case, the traditional way of method takes a lot of time where Bob is struggling to get all her approvals, booking of accommodation, taking all the services on time. It is taking a lot of time to complete it. But whereas David is taking no time in completing all the requests, complaint, query of the customer, as well as he is very well efficient in completing all the requests regarding their travels, like booking of accommodation, taking all the approvals, taking the visa part. It's all on time and the customers are really happy. But on the other hand, Bob is really struggling because he is not completing the task on time and the customers are really unhappy with his service. So in today's world, we get to know that the person or the customer always want his service to be instant rather than to be delayed. So if I be in that particular situation, I'll be also not happy with the Bob service. I'll be more happy with the David service because he is solving my query complaint very instantly. And you will also agree with my point because customer always nowadays required his solution be resolved to an instant resolution. So now in the next slide, we'll come to know what is the difference between these two methods. So the first method is traditional where there is a time costing is there and time is consumed, lot of manpower is used, high costing is there, uh, very slow processing, and the risk of errors is very high. When you do a very slow processing, the risk of the errors becomes a really high percentage, and where nobody wants to accept that, whether it is a consumer, whether it is a business, when you are running a online business platform. So it is required that the risk of error should be low. So that comprises with the digitalization method, where it is a less time consumption, less manpower is used, less costing is there, even faster processing, and the risk of errors is really, really very low, where you can have your work in a business module in a very efficient way, in a very transparent way between your consumers. That is why we always recommend when you decide to do a business on an online platform, you always recommend to do a digitalization method where it becomes easy for both the business people as well as for the consumers because everything is an online platform where they can just select the product on time and it will be delivered at their doorstep, and this is the service all the consumer required, and this is the instant resolution for their complaint, query, and everything. That is why many people who are doing business on an online platform, the digital method is the main tool which is required to run your business smoothly. Third slide of mine comprises of what is actually digitalization. So when we talk about what is digitalization, so in my mind it comes 4 points or 4 pillars on which we can define it or where this digitalization stands. So the 4 pillars would be the technology, data, uh, your automation process. I'm talking about automation, but I'm the point would be in process. Last point would be the organizational change. So when we see the technology, it is comprises if it is there in a business module, it creates a new or modify the existing one to get a great effectiveness in the process, in the customer experience. Because when it is modified, it also helps the consumers to get through it and it becomes really easy for both the parties to make the business smooth, and why it is required the technology to run the business according to the current market situation. That's the reason that technology is really important in the digitalization tool when we are describing it. So with this interconnected, there is a data. The second point or the second pillar of the digitalization, define it, is the data. The importance of data in this digital transformation would provide the business with the real-time capture and the greater visibility of the product. So when we take or compile the data, so we can understand how our product is working, how our brand is working in the market around with the consumers. So you get the clear picture whether we have to improvise or whether we have to leave it in that existing manner. So that is why it is an interconnected. When we are talking about technology, then we are talking about the data, and these are two interconnected when we are talking about digitalization. Third point would be the automation process. When we talk about the automation process, it applies a technique where it makes the process smooth within the complex activities of the business model is going on. So it becomes more effective, it becomes more transparent between the consumers and the business model. Why? Because everybody in today's era want all very smooth, and as well as it should be a friendly interface or a website so that the consumer does not have to go around here and there. They can get everything in front of them. So it makes the process easier. When you're talking about technology, you're talking about data, then you're talking about the process. These are all interconnected when we are trying to define or when we are saying about digitalization in the business model. Last would be the organizational change. When these things comes, so consumers' demands get higher and higher, and they want an improvised product from your company, from your brand. So how will you do that? So for meeting those demands, you have to do an organizational change in your company. You have to make more and more hard work into that product to improvise it more and more to meet the demands of the customer, what they want from your brand or your product. So that's the thing. These are the four pillars who are interconnected to meet the customer experience and meet the customer demand. So that is the reason when we call a digitalization is a main tool. So it's a main tool to help your business run smoothly and effectively. Second slide comes around what is the importance of digitalization. When we talk about what is the importance of digitalization, so it comes around that there are having three key points that makes it important. First, that would be that it increases efficiency in your business purpose or business module when the risk of errors is very low. You'll always see that whenever you are doing something or you even simply drafting a letter or something, so you will always try when you're writing a mail or a letter, there should be no errors in that particular letter. That's all you want, that that letter should be perfect when you are giving to someone else. So that can be rectified, that can be retrieved, that can be fixed in an online platform. But when you're doing it in a traditional way, you have to make it the whole letter again and again so that the errors should be fixed. So it is taking a lot of time consumption, and you are not getting those advantages that, okay, some popping up is coming up and the sentence is not correct. These advantages are not there when you are doing it in a physical manner. Second would be the securing all the documents, whether it is your contract, whether it is your proposal, whether it is your data. It is all secured in an online platform. Why? Because it is on a cloud, that if it is your laptop crashes or if it is stolen or if it is lost somewhere, you can retrieve those documents, you can fix those documents on an online platform. That is a major thing. But when you see, on the other hand, if these documents are lost in a traditional way, you can't get through it because you can't hold them. You have to make the main document again and again so that you can get that data again. But in online, it is an advantage that if it is lost also, you can retrieve it. Last point would be the retention of the customers. So when we are talking about the retention of the customers, so this becomes really easy that when you are giving an effective and proactive service to the customer by listening to their query, complaint, or request, and if you're solving instantly, it becomes really easy that the customer will be happy with your service and they will recommend your website or an app to other people so that they can come over your website, and this increases your customer base, as well as it increase your repeat purchases, as well as it will also increase your profit to run your business more. So these things are really important when you are discussing about the importance of the digitalization tool in your business module. So these are the three key points which you have to always keep in mind when you're running a business in an online platform. Then we'll talk about the examples of digitalization. So in an example, there are a lot of things when we talk about digitalization example. It can be uh, digital signature are there. You can print the market campaigns, which is an online platform. You don't have to do the printing and everything. So whenever you are trying to promote about your brand or about your product, and it should go to number of people who can grab the attention of your brand and everything. So what you need to do is to make an campaign, or you can make it a marketing strategy on an online platform, and you can float it on a social media pages, which is a main advantage where you can just post it, and many of the consumers who are really on an online platform, they will look into it, they will reach to your website, they will look out the product, and that is what is the main thing in this uh, what do you call example, or it's the importance of that digital tool. Even if I'm in that particular scenario, I would also search the products on an online platform. Why would I go out and uh, travel from one place to another to get that particular product? So I'll be really happy if I'm getting all the products on an online and I can get the service at my doorstep. So that is the main point when we are trying to promote, or we are trying to show our brand or product to the people. This is a main efficient way to get through social media pages, which is really, really important. When you have a website, it should be linked to your social media pages so that the consumers can get a lot of information about your brand and your product, or and of your company also. So this is would be the main example of a digitalization tool where you can apply it in your business also. Next would be the advantages of digitalization. When we talk about the advantages of digitalization, there are five key points. First is the time saving, second is the cost saving, third is the accuracy. So when I'm talking about time saving, when you're doing it online and you are not doing it in a traditional way, it is saving your time. Second, cost saving, because if you're doing it online, you are not traveling from one place to another. That's the reason your money is saved. Third is the accuracy. When you are doing in a digitalization tool, whether you're compiling the data or doing any proposal or something, whatever you are making the changes in the product, that is the risk of errors is getting low, and that is all we required. Easy distribution, when you are trying to promote or want to give an information, you can give it through mail, you can give it through uh, social media pages, which is really easy, which gets attention of the consumers to get through your website and your product. Then it would be a secured, which I have already told you, whatever the documents are you have saved on an online platform, they are really safe, they are secured. You can retrieve it if it is lost or it is stolen. And last point would be the increase in profit, which I have to talk about. That is a retention of the customers. When you talk about retention of the customers, you have to serve them proactively. You have to listen them. What are the complaints, query, and request for it. And it is really easy when customer is really happy with your proactive service. He will recommend your channel to everyone. So that's what, even if I was in the same case, if I get a very good service from any platform, I would be recommend this channel to everybody. So this would be agreeable to everybody who are running online business. Then we are concluding the session with the session we have talked about the digitalization with the scenario, their importance and examples, and with the advantages. Now we are concluding the session with the case study, which is based on QR code. We are not selling the QR code, but we can enhance that QR code when I'm taking a study uh, through this QR code. And I know the QR code has its own impact, own importance, own uses, but today's case study is based on a library system. So you all agree, everyone who's attending the session would love books, and many people work in a traditional way. They go to the library, take the rental cards, and take the subscription. And in today's world, if I see many people take it online, there are ebooks, there are audiobooks where they just scan and get through it. So this is really easy part when you are running a library in a country. And if a QR code is a one of the main tool for your library system, that makes your business a really easy, and it really works in a smooth way. So today, what are the key points when I'm talking about a library? So when we talk about the library, there are some key points when we running it. So first point is a make a book search easy for the readers. The first point which making the book search for the readers easy. How will you make that easy? You can make that easy while encoding that QR code in the book cover so that the reader can scan it and get the unlimited information about the books in the library, as well as he can get the entire catalog of the books which are there in that particular library. So this is the first point which makes it easier when the person or a consumer or the reader enters in your library. Second would be the instant access to the reading material. So when we are talking about instant message, when you scan it on the cover of the book, you can get an instant access to reading, whether it's an ebook, whether it is any book. You can have the entire material what you want to read about it. So it can be the guides, and it can be done through a simple QR code encoding. So that's what the main thing when you the first enter the reader when enters the library, if it is scan, it can get the entire catalog. Even he can get the entire unlimited information about the books. Second would be the instant access to the books where reading material if you are encoding the QR code over there. Third, you can promote your library through social media when you have opened a business, and if you have a website for your library, you can encode a QR code and which should be linked to your social media pages, where it can be uh, grab the attention of the readers that okay, the there is a library in this particular area also. So this is how you can promote your library, and you can give all the details about your library, what are the books or what is the catalog according to it. Then you can use your print media to provide your library, that you can track how many people are scanning your QR code, how the people are getting into your this library system, how many people are liking it, what are the feedback. So this can also be done through a QR code. Then the point is, it is all connected. If you want to track all these things with the QR code, it should be linked to your social media page. Then the second point comes, you can provide your library contact details through a VR card QR. So earlier the people used to type manually the number of the library and try to get all the details manually. But now it is easy when you just scan it, the entire contact information of that particular library is saved in your Android phone. So this is the one point you can use whoever is using this library system. Second point would be making the library em- environment to be engaging. So how would you make it engaging? It can be engaging like you are making a quiz in every fortnight or something, and try to engage the readers with the particular topic, particular book, or the author. So you can question them, you can understand what they're reading, what are their experience reading these books. So this makes an engagement, a direct engagement with the readers. So this is the most important thing. Last would be, I would be suggesting, whenever the person, whenever the reader or anybody is renting or purchasing the books, you can encode that, whether it is in the website, or in a book. You can encode that QR code so that you can get an instant feedback about the experience, about how the audiobooks works for that reader. Is it was a good experience or not? So this is how we can get all the feedback through the particular QR code with your books, with your library. So you can make a note that how you can improvise your library more, or you have to improvise your books, or you have to get a number different style of books which the reader wants from your library. So these are the key points where you can make these things usable for your library system. So first point would be the make book search for the library easy for the reader. Second would be the instant access to the readers for the reading material. You can promote your library through the social medias, and then you can provide your contact details through a V card, which is also encoded with the QR code, and make the library more engagement with the reader, so the readers should come and they should be really relaxed. Okay, if I come to this library, I can have quiz regarding some topics about the authors, about different authors, about different topics. So this makes it engaging with the readers. You can even open a book club at like Friday and Saturday, where you can just read out some of the, even a chapter from a particular novel or something. And this QR code is also helpful in schools, where the children are using audiobooks to making the learning experience much better. And the last key point of having this library system to get an instant feedback, you have to encode that in your website or a books, so that you can get the instant experience of the readers, that how they feel about the library and how they feel about the books, and where do we stand in this current market situation. So I'm representing the UX Living Lab team, where we are working through this QR code, and we are working mainly focus area where we generate this revenue through this QR, not a QR code, but we can give you the exact picture about your product, about your brand or the company through your customer insights, which is done through a QR code. And we are talking day in, day out with the customer to get the feel how is your brand is working, how is your product is working. And we can tell you the ideas, what is how you can improvise your product or a brand, so that it can grab more attention to the consumer. And it is only done through one single QR code. And this is uh, the service which is very easy to get through it. So you just have to go to the website, or I'll share the app store link so that you can just download it, and you can just give your name and the email ID, and the QR code is created, and you can ask any of the services we want. What we really focus on the customer feedback, which is really important, because this is nowadays a main thing when we are talking about. So this is our site where we are uh, taking the customer feedback from the QR code, so that you can get your business grow. So that is what we do nowadays, and we are only centrally focused on customer insight, which is more important. Customer insight, customer feedback. So it gives you a clear picture to how to improvise, or what are the changes we can make in a product or a brand to get through it, and the consumer should do a repeat purchases in your business. So that's we do, and I'll give you that link so that you can just come back to me if you have any question, how it works, what are the service, how we provide a feedback, and all these things I can answer you for it. And you don't have to wait for your queue to come. So that is the reason I'm really happy to help you for your services, for your question, for your complaint, for your queries and everything, which are we are really very interested to talk to you about our company, about our service. So I hope you like this session about digitalization through QR codes with the interesting case study on the library system, which is dealing with QR codes and which enhance the library system. Lastly, about the company which I'm working on, we are only dealing with the customer feedback, the reports which we make for you, and we'll even try to give you strategies how you can improve your business more and more. This is how we work, and if you want further in any information about a product or service, you can just ping me on my comment section, so can I can try to help you out. Even I will provide you a calendar link so that you can just whenever you are free, you can just book the appointment with us, and we'll have a chat or a call with you so that we can give you the entire information about a company, product, and services. Thank you for joining us.